Welcome everyone to the Real Whovians Cast, episode 474. I am your host, Matrixlord 212, and I'm with Mike T. What's up, Mike?
Hello.
What's up, Phil?
Shh! Don't tell anyone. This is Real Whovians 420.
Okay, Mike
Of all
D.
the episodes that I had to miss, right?
Mike D.
Yeah. Before we start, I have to say a special shout out to some big Mike D fans over at the Who Wars group community, all of which they have like 6 or 7 members, so they're a really big group. But I wanted to tell each of them hello because they're big fans of Mike D. So, and atheism, by the way. So
that's the comics like stuff.
Yeah, Yeah, they've got a comics sort of little community group going, and it's quite funny. I actually, I said hello to them the other day, and probably made their day by giving them some sort of recognition by having a couple of messages go to them and just tell them hello, and glad to see they're such big fans of mine. So, and they said they'd like to be on the show at some point, but I asked them who should we send the invite to, and I never got a response, so I don't know. I guess they'll maybe contact me in the future regarding that, but. Come on, boys, come on. We'd love to have you on, But you gotta let us know who you are, But anyway.
That's true. That is true.
I got.
We don't just throw anybody on here, but now this is going to be an interesting cast because I have seen Death in Heaven 3 times. Now, I have stated that I will watch it a total of 10 in my spare time. I probably will watch it before I go to bed. Again. But my rating has not gone up, which I haven't rated it yet. In fact, it's gone down. And I'm going to basically enlighten you why it's getting a failing grade. And just see what your opinion is.
Now, this is just part 2 of the 2-parter, right? Not the first.
I'm just talking about Death in Heaven.
Okay.
Okay. So what is that?
That is a neat-looking piece of dried blood.
Oh, not interesting. Okay. So now this is what we're going to do. I'm going to mention some episodes of the past and how it relates to Death in Heaven. Now, of all these episodes, there's one episode that's connected to the finale of Series 1 that is Bad Wolf. So I will start with Bad Wolf. In Bad Wolf, Rose is executed to dust, but is really alive and transmatted. Now, in Death of Heaven, Osgood is executed to dust. So far, she's still dead. Okay? I'm going to do about 4, and then I'll let you guys talk about it. Parting of the Ways, the Ninth Doctor announces to Linda with a watch that she can technically be a future companion, and then she's killed by Daleks. In Death in Heaven, the 12th Doctor signals to Osgood a hint that she will be a future companion, and she's killed by Missy. I'm going to stop right there with those 2. I'm going to go with you, Mike D. Some similarities. Anything you want to say on those 2?
I'm kind of processing this as you're going through it, but yeah, I see some similarities there with things.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah,
we just want me to keep going.
Yeah, there's some similarities, but if you think about it, having a character pop up and they could be a companion and then they die, that's kind of like a dramatic tool that you'd be crazy not to reuse as long as you don't overuse it.
Okay, what's up, Bryan?
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
All right. I'm going to continue. Okay. In Parting of the Ways, at the end, the Daleks swarm the Doctor, and it appears that all hope is lost. Death in Heaven, the Cybermen swarm the Doctor, and it appears like he's lost. But of course, something else happens. Doomsday, the Genesis Ark, is of Time Lord technology, that is a prison to have all the Daleks. In Death in Heaven, the St. Paul's Cathedral is of Time Lord technology that is used to have all the Cybermen, as well as other things. In Doomsday, we have the Void mentioned as an area of space, like traveling, that was never really explored other than the Daleks traveling through the Void, exploring it in a Void ship. We also have, in Death in Heaven, the Nether Sphere is talked about, trying to figure out what that is. In Doomsday, there is also the alternate reality that the Cybermen come from that was seen in those episodes. And we also hear in Death in Heaven talk of a pocket universe to where Gallifrey is. In Doomsday, Rose wakes up in bed and says she hears the Doctor and whispering to her, Rose, Rose. She goes to bed with Bay, and she basically, tells him she loves him and says goodbye. In Death in Heaven, it appears that Clara wakes from a very similar bed and hears Danny Pink whispering to her, and Danny Pink is saying goodbye to Clara. In Last of the Time Lords, humans have been harvested and became the robots, the Tyclophane, to kill everyone. In Death in Heaven, humans have been harvested to become the dead humans to become Cybermen. In Last of the Time Lords, the Master killed a lot of people. Death in Heaven, Missy kills a lot of people. Last of the Time Lords, the Master tells the Doctor, I win. In Death in Heaven, the Doctor tells Missy, you or the Master, you win. Journey's End, insinuates that the Doctor is more evil than he is. In Death in Heaven, Missy insinuates that the Doctor and her are the same, meaning he is also evil. Journey's End, the Earth is stolen. In Death in Heaven, people's souls are stolen into the Nether Sphere. And at the time, the Master listens to the drums to bring back Gallifrey. In Death in Heaven, the Doctor listens to the Master, Missy, to search for Gallifrey. End of time, Willifred asks the Doctor, the dead look like the Master. In Death in Heaven, the Doctor tells Unit that the dead will become Cybermen. In the End of Time, the Master returns and makes everyone the Master. It's the same thing. Death in Heaven, Missy returns the Master and makes everyone Cybermen. End of Time, the Doctor leaps. Yeah.
Sorry to jump in on you like that. I need to step out to use the bathroom, kind of an emergency. So you get back to the.
Yeah, I'll let them talk about it, and then when you come back,
your list real quick that I see some of the similarities. I really do. A lot of them I think are more grasping for straws, but I'd like to talk to you more about that after I get back.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike Dio. You got the floor.
Well,
Go for it.
yeah, I was going to say, actually, I guess to sort of shadow what Vil has been saying, there's some things there that are probably more similar than just passing. But I mean, what I'd like to know, what exactly are you saying by pointing these things out?
I'm saying that what I'm saying is what I'm pointing out is finales of New Who. I'm not pointing out the classic series. I'm pointing out recent, from the limited history of the New Who, and that there's something taken from every single finale that just makes up what Death in Heaven is. So in other words, my whole thing is that I like to see something new. I like to see something original. And of course they're going to have things that are borrowed or taken or copied, okay? But to me, Death in Heaven is nothing but taking every finale, chopping it up in slices, and then altering it for another finale. Like, I want to see a finale.
So you think this was a conscious thing that occurred?
I'm thinking that he ran out of ideas, and because they were just rushing through the season to try to get it out on time, he really didn't make that big of a deal. That he ran out of time, and he really didn't perfect the finale as well as he perfected Listen or other episodes. Like, he spent more time on the regular episodes than he did on the finale.
I don't know. I had more of the impression that if there's any similarities, I think it might have been subconscious, if anything. I'm not sure if there was like a real conscientious effort to do that on Moffat's part. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but
to me, it's like too many similarities. It's like he's just watching the old episodes and like saying, "Oh, you know, I could expand on this. I could expand on A Good Man Goes to War."
But I mean, like, I mean, you know, you and I could sit here and all of us could come up with 10 other sort of finales that have nothing to do with treading over the same ground that Moffat, from what you're alleging or asserting, has done with this.
Well, hold on.
I think it might have. I'm not sure if it was like a real.
Hold on, Daniel. You gotta mute yourself. Okay. So
I mean, I'm not sure if Moffat, like, I guess the point I'm making with my previous statement was that, I mean, we could sit here and think of, like, different finales that wouldn't necessarily have anything, like, in direct correlation with what's come before, but might kind of touch on it in some sort of peripheral way.
See, my thing is, I really have a hard time with the finale, because I really felt I've seen it before. And I have seen it before in all the other finales of New Who. There is something from every finale that it's like, oh my god. Like, first of all, if it's a subconscious thing, right, then it's like a lot of coincidences. I mean, Rose Tyler waking up in the bed, hearing Rose, Rose, and it's the doctor. And she's in love with the doctor, and she's like, I love you. He goes to say it, he disappears. They repeat. It's like, that's, you really think that's just a coincidence? I mean, that scene was basically repeated.
Yeah, it kind of was with
it was repeated. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get anybody's opinions and change anybody's opinions. My goal here is to enlighten people and say, hey, you know, okay, whether you liked it or you didn't like it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with changing somebody's opinion about something. I mean,
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. Let's not start at a place where, you know, like I could watch an episode and think it sucked or thought it was good, and then you have the opposite opinion. And I mean, we tend to have a sort of a closed-off way of looking at things sometimes and saying, like, well, we don't want to affect other people's opinions on this or that or whatever, when that's the whole point of what we're here for, is to have discussions on different topics. And like in this instance with the podcast here talking about Doctor Who, very much so we can change somebody's opinion about a particular episode by giving them the information and the facts for them to come about, you know, something that they might not have been aware of previously. So I've seen the episode a lot more than I have. So
I challenge anybody to just watch certain clips from certain finales, and then immediately in another window on your computer, watch that scene in Death in Heaven. Because if you watch the Rose scene at the end of Doomsday, and then you watch the Clara scene,
it's exactly the same.
It's the same thing. If you watch the Clara thing with Danny Pink, you know, saying goodbye in the cemetery, it's the same thing as saying goodbye on Bad Wolf Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. So, you know, of course people are going to like the episode because they've seen it before subconsciously, that they're not realizing it. And they like that from the finales. You know, maybe they like the episode without knowing that it's similar. But it's kind of sad that you could fill 2 pages.
Well, I mean, something that comes to mind is formula. And I know, like, with the James Bond franchise, you have a formulaic sort of storytelling going on, where you have, like, the main bad guy, you have the henchman to the bad guy, you have the, the femme fatale, you have the main heroine. Yeah, there's a certain formula that's in play, and maybe they're sticking a little bit closer with this new Doctor Who series to being a bit formulaic with some things.
I think the problem is that things are too often repeated. We had the 10th Doctor worried about and trying to prevent his death. We had the 11th Doctor took a break, and then the following year was trying to prevent his death. It's like, it was like a year break. You know, what happened with David Tennant in specials. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Found out.
When did Matt Smith try to prevent his death?
Possible astronaut. Like, he has the Tesselector to step in for him, and so he wouldn't affect the fixed point, and he was inside the Tesselector robot, and he altered his death, where he didn't die on Lake Silencio. So he prevented his death.
I thought the Tesselector was the whole thing, like from the very beginning. The
Tesselector was in that episode, Let's Kill Hitler, but at the end, when they says, "Is there anything we can do for you in the Winning River song?"
No, I thought that was.
Wait a minute.
The way I saw it, I thought the Tesselector was for the Impossible Astronaut and Day in the Moon as well. Even though they didn't.
Tesselector wasn't in that episode.
I know, but even though they didn't mention it, or
they were never a part of those episodes. No.
I know, even though they didn't mention it or get up to that point, like get up to the point with the Tesselector, I thought that's what the Tesselector like since it was like a whole loop of time travel and everything, or a circle, whatever you want to see.
Their own thing. They were a separate thing, but he wound up using them to prevent his death, just like David Tennant was trying to find ways to prevent his death in the end of time, and he wound up dying anyway and regenerating. So, like, there are things that are repeated. You know, like I've often said, you've had the episode Smith and Jones, where the Jadoon are going after their prisoner, and she's hiding and masking herself from them by human DNA or whatever, so they can't tell that she's the alien. Same thing is the 11th Hour is the very same thing, with the exception that it's not the Jadoon, it's the Atraxi, and Prisoner Zero is not killing humans, but he's making himself look like a human to pose off and escape his prisoners, like his captors, whatever. So there are like so many episodes that Moffat has taken from New Who, like from Russell T Davies in a sense, and it continues besides the finale throughout his episodes. You could clearly compare the two and say, okay, this episode, Smith and Jones, and the 11th Hour is like exactly the same. If you think about it, you have a new companion introduced in Martha Jones. You have a new companion introduced in Amelia and Amy Pond. Okay? It's like, why can't we just do our own thing without taking from other stuff? Why can't we do original stories like In the Forest at Night or other ones and just do something completely different than watching, and subconsciously we are taking from our own stories? There's a line in Day of the Moon that I was watching the other day, and they have the little device that's glowing, and Amy's screaming and crying, I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. And I'm like, oh my God, he copied from himself. because then he wound up using that because that was a cool thing to do. It was very scary and very terrifying, and he used that in Bells of St. John. You know, I don't know where I am. There's so many things that are taken from his own stuff that he actually takes from himself. There are lines that are repeated, and the Doctor says stuff, and then River says the same exact thing, like seasons later. And you're like, it boggles the mind, like how this is missed and how this is repeated. There's even a line where the Doctor says something, and then a season later or two, it's like Clara's mother says the very similar speech, but to her daughter Cloud. You know, you have to really pay attention. You're like, oh my God, like why is he stealing from himself? Why is he taking? Why can't he just do something different? You know?
Yeah, Joe. If I may interject here, Jacob wants to come in. Is that okay, Mike, if he comes in? Joe?
Yeah, come on in, Jacob.
That's fine.
Yeah. Just wanted to ask. Yeah. Well, I liked the episode. I think it was cool. You know, I think it was actually pretty good. You know, even though I didn't really get it, but okay.
Tell him to come in.
Yeah, I'm trying. I just don't. Trying to find the thing. Oh, here we go.
Let me see if I can get him.
So, yeah. Also, by the way, Joe, I know this is completely unrelated, but did you get my last post?
Okay, I didn't. Let's keep it with Doctor Who, but I'm not on Skype really anymore. I don't really go on. I really hardly ever go on Skype. Maybe I go every couple weeks, only because I'll talk to you about it off air. But I really don't use Skype that much anymore.
Okay.
What's up, Jacob?
The galaxy.
Yeah. Where you go? Jacob.
Is he there?
Yeah, I don't know. He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jacob. What's up?
Yeah, nothing much.
Okay.
How's it going, Jacob?
I'm glad we're all getting along.
Yeah, pretty good, Mike.
Cool.
All right. Jacob, have you been watching the episode? Well, why don't you go over some of the things to Jacob, Mike, that we were talking about?
He was watching.
Oh, you were watching, Jacob?
Yeah.
Well, I think Daniel
Yeah.
Daniel was giving us his thoughts on it.
I actually like Death and
What'd you rate it, Jacob?
it was actually pretty good. I actually rated it 10 out of 10. But
Oh,
I have
wow.
a virus on my other computer, so I couldn't do my review.
Okay. Cool. What did you rate it, Daniel?
Yeah.
I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was great. It wasn't perfect, but it was great.
So what did you guys think of the Brigadier whole thing at the end of that episode?
Oh yeah, like I said this to Joe last time. I said, if you can't bring back the character, don't bring back the if you can't bring back the actor, don't bring back the character because it's stupid. I mean, you're telling me to believe that's a Brigadier in there? I mean, lots of sci-fi shows do this, where somehow the character comes back, but maybe the character possesses some other person, and we're believed that this is the character inside somebody else, or inside of a machine. It just doesn't look real. It's not. I can't believe that. They're asking you to suspend your disbelief and pretend it's that character, but no, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Jacob? What'd you think of that?
Yeah, me, I really didn't mind the Brigadier Cyber Brigadier. okay. And yeah, I liked how Doc saluted him. Salute to the Brigadier. So, yeah, I liked it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not really sure. We need to hold Joe to giving a rating on this episode because he keeps holding out on us. So we need a definitive rating from you, Joe.
I'm going to give it after I watch it again.
You've seen it more than we have.
I think it's funny when I watch Joe's episodes on how when I saw how much he doesn't like this episode, how he's like, oh, this is so dark and all that stuff. I kind of laugh because it's kind of funny, his reaction.
Yeah, but this had to be pretty bad because Joe said this episode just about turned him off at Doctor Who. So.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny of his reaction on that one cast where he said he absolutely hated it.
I was actually pondering deleting all my Doctor Who pages.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad.
And leave in YouTube. Like, totally.
Oh.
Yes. That's how pissed I was. That's how pissed I was.
Yep. Yeah. I saw it. I saw it in the cast. You would definitely like that.
I was beyond pissed.
Every episode of season 8, my dad has been like he's starting to like Clara more in season 8 than the rest of the seasons.
What if I may ask Jacob, what's your overall impression of this season? Like the whole season. What do you think of Capaldi and just like your overall rating of the whole series?
Well, you guys are probably going to be shocked, but David Tennant used to be my favorite Doctor, but Peter Capaldi has changed my mind. Peter Capaldi is my favorite Doctor, entirely. Yeah. I like a bit of a dark type Doctor because it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man.
Yeah. What did you think of it, Mike?
I love Peter Capaldi, and I like his interpretation of the Doctor. I think that for some reason he is not being utilized to his fullest capacity. I don't know if he's kind of holding back a little bit and kind of setting this character in stages as far as his interpretation of the Doctor, but I don't see him really like optimizing, I guess, what I was expecting with his portrayal of this character. But yeah. I think that next series will be a little different. I think he'll get a little bit more heavily involved in the character. I mean, we've seen that with other Doctors as well, especially like Peter Davison and how he kind of changed throughout his era.
Yeah. I actually like Peter Davison in the old classic series. Like when David Tennant came, David Tennant was like full on my whole entire family's favorite Doctor. And then when Peter Capaldi came in this year, my family kind of turned off Peter Capaldi, but my dad and I always watch Peter Capaldi's series in it, like season 8, watched the whole entire season, and my dad loves Peter Capaldi too, and it just gives Doctor Who a new type of, new adventure with a new type of darker Doctor, and it makes it more interesting too, if you know what I mean.
Yo, yeah, I agree with you on that 100%, man. I love the Dark Doctor. I think Tennant and Smith, and this might sound a little biased against them with things, but I like Capaldi because he reminds me more of the classic series sort of Doctor, where he's not just some sort of polished hipster sort of boy next door type. You have a darker Doctor who's got a little age on him. And I think that that reminds me, at least, of more of the classic series, where it's more focused on like this mysterious sort of character who's got a little age on him, and he's a little bit of a darker sort, rather than some sort of like boy next door that has companions he travels around with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
totally the same.
I think his doctor's like bit in between with Hartnell and Tom Baker doctor, in a sense. And I think he's reached Tom Baker's standards of, of a doctor.
Yeah, you said that the other day. I was thinking about that when you made that comment. Um, so as far as like the new doctors of the new series, Brian, are you saying that Capaldi's like pretty much like at the top of that list at this point between Eccleston, Tennant, Smith, and Capaldi?
Yes.
That took a bit longer than I expected.
You're just in time.
No, I don't know what went on because there wasn't really enough to explain it happening, but the toilet and the shower both backed up.
Well,
Yeah.
Nice.
apparently Mike D's the host now, so.
Yeah, I think Joe might pop back on here in a second, but
No.
Jacob and Brian I was asking them about what they thought about the series as a whole, and we were kind of talking about Capaldi's place in the pantheon of actors that have portrayed this character with things, and Brian said that at this point that he puts Capaldi up there with Tom Baker, and he thinks he's the best of the new series actors to portray the Doctor.
Well,
I could.
I mean, David Tennant's still my favorite Doctor. I mean, he still is and always gonna be my favorite because he's the Doctor I grew up with. But I think like Peter Capaldi's portrayal of the Doctor's been the best so far of those actors from the New Who.
Well, see, that's like me. Like, I grew up with Tom Baker and Peter Davison, obviously, but Peter Davison was always a little bit more of my nostalgic Doctor, but I always preferred John Pertwee's portrayal, which I'm nostalgic for as well, but I, for some reason, always gravitate towards Peter Davison from my earliest memories of watching the series.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a problem. See, our our kitchen sink needs to be replaced, and it is. But while it is, we have to literally wash our dishes in the bathroom. And what I'm thinking happened was that between people shitting and people not being too careful while cleaning dishes, perhaps, that something found its way and clogged somewhere between the septic and the toilet. So I had to scramble to get every dish out of the bath because I didn't want shit water touching them, and well, I wasn't fast enough, so I'm not looking forward to cleaning that later. And that's going to be bleach and like scalding water because I'm sorry, I don't really care to give myself sepsis.
Nice.
I love your top hat, Bill. Your top hat's cool.
Thanks.
I always wanted a top hat, but like I don't know how much they are online these days. But I'm gonna get one eventually.
What if the Doctor had a top hat? Besides, like the hats that he normally wore, like Peter Davison, Tom Baker, Sylvester McCoy, like an actual.
Have you ever seen the Doctor's wardrobe? What doesn't he have?
Like an actual, like the exact top hat that you have, Bill. Like, what if he wore that kind of hat?
If he goes into the right part of the TARDIS, he's got the entire BBC wardrobe room.
Yeah, steampunk Doctor.
Who knows, Brian? Maybe in the Christmas episode, Peter Capaldi will get a top hat.
Now, did you like the new portrayal of the Master, Jacob?
Yes, I loved it. I did prefer John Sim, but the actress of Missy is actually kind of growing on me, and